welcome to another episode of the Play Loud podcast. I'm your host, Malcolm Ford, and we have a very special guest today. We have Coach Donny of Elevate Yourself. Coach Donny, introduce yourself to everyone.
What's up, guys? My name is Coach Donny from Elevate Yourself. That's my usual intro. I'm the owner of a YouTube volleyball training, travel camp, anything volleyball related, whether it's content or in-person training. And I also still compete in the VLA, which is the men's semi-professional league in the US. And I love the game and I love to spread it. I'm 40 years old and still going at it and finding ways to, I think one thing I'm always excited about is finding ways to stay relevant, both as a business person, as a content creator, and as a player.
Absolutely. Welcome. Coach Donny is someone I definitely look up to. Always subscribe to his channels. I catch him anytime I see, a highlight being pulled. Someone maybe might clip him on TikTok, Instagram, as well as his YouTube channel, which is how I actually discovered him on my end. And, I would say his teaching, his tools are very useful, something I try to pick up all the tips that he gives and presents. So I'm very, very fortunate to have him out. And again, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Coach Donny, can you tell me, how long have you actually been involved in the sport? How long have you been playing volleyball?
Since my sophomore year of high school was when I actually formalized joining a team. I dabbled a little bit in middle school as part of PE, and I joined the team there, but it wasn't really anything intentional. It was just a team I tried out for. But sophomore year, after getting cut from the basketball team, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade team, time to decide to join a team that would actually take me. So luckily, our volleyball team wasn't that good, so I made the team. I'm naturally not very athletic. I'm undersized, but I had a very, very strong passion for sports. And luckily, I had my parents, my elementary school teacher, Mr. Elio. There were people in my life, my older siblings, that always encouraged me to continue to play sports. And so I think I just got lucky that volleyball happened to be the sport that I fell in love with by chance. And then fast forward into college, I played club in college for San Jose State University and just became a gym rat. I was playing 6 or 7 days a week. I was lifting weights so I can get better at volleyball. And then I made it into a business. I started coaching right during college, and I started coaching right out of college. I was a high school teacher for 11 years. So was able to build Elevate Yourself, my side business, into a full-time business now. And both being a personal trainer and a volleyball coach with teams and individuals and camps is pretty much how I built a lot of Elevate Yourself in where I live, which is the Bay Area in California. And so I would say I've been going on volleyball for, let's see, if I was a sophomore, 15 years old, and I'm 40 right now. So 25 years involved in the game.
I would definitely say you've done a lot to really grow the game with your brain, elevate yourself, as well as with tall ones. So again, you're very, very, very appreciative of all that you do provide to the game. Can you tell me more about Elevate Yourself? When did you start that?
I started that in 2011. So as a company, I decided to formalize it as a company 2011, 2012, because I graduated with my teacher credential in 2010. And actually, right after college, I tried to go overseas to see if I can play professionally in Europe through Bring It Promotions. And so I got a very small offer for second division in Sweden, but I decided that I would rather, it was like 50-50. And that was during a time where internet was not really fully accessible like it is now. I talked to a couple of people on that tour who played in Sweden, and it was a small town that they knew about, and you'd have to take a bus 30 minutes to go to an internet cafe, and it was only dial-up internet. And so I think I was afraid I would feel too isolated. And for me, naturally, I'd spend a lot of time by myself. So I don't know if that would be that healthy to spend even that much time by myself, because I do get lonely sometimes. But so I decided to decline that, and then came back and decided to become a teacher. And being a teacher, it's a lot of work, but you do have free time if you plan your time well. So summers is really where I dove deep into, and weekends is where I dove deep into doing private lessons. I was already coaching my high school team at Michisansing High School at the time for about that was my 6th year. So already having a lot of coaching experience, wanting to be growing my personal training business. The funny thing at that time, having a trainer, like a strength and conditioning coach. Well, I'm not a certified strength and conditioning coach, but I was a personal trainer that specialized in athletes. At that time, it wasn't a thing. Clubs did not have strength and conditioning programs. A lot of people still believe that lifting, at least in the US, believe that lifting weights for volleyball would make you slow and it would cause injury and all that stuff, which is so crazy because that was barely 10 years ago. And now almost every club that I work with has a strength and conditioning program. It's cool to gym now, right? Lifting is a popular thing for athletes. So at that time, I actually didn't have many athletes. Most of my clients were weight loss, people trying to get ready for their wedding, people, later in their life trying to get in better health. So I built my business actually off of weight loss clients while coaching private volleyball lessons. And then 2013 was when the tide changed because as I was growing my weight loss business, I happened to get a few former athletes and I started incorporating more athletic training with them. And then I started making YouTube videos because I wanted to make videos that they could use for reference. So how to squat, how to sprint, how to recover, how to stretch, all those things. And then, so I just created those as a resource for my clients to use. And so I wouldn't have to keep answering the same questions over and over again. And then one couple of videos I featured volleyball, like videos of me playing volleyball as a way to demonstrate the benefits of weight training, but also how to have proper jumping and landing mechanics and how to minimize injury. And those volleyball videos took off unintentionally. Like people started asking for more volleyball content on YouTube. And so I completely shifted my channel, which was supposed to be jump training, to all volleyball stuff now. And 2013 is when I came up with the name Elevate Yourself. And it just seemed like I wanted to create a brand that was more than just improving yourself in the weight room or improving yourself on the volleyball court. Because the way I coach is I try to use life lessons. I try to use volleyball as a language to empower people to use the skills that they learn on the court beyond the volleyball court. Because I think there's a lot of crossover. And so I wanted my brand to talk about what does it mean for you to improve yourself and achieve your fullest potential no matter what you're doing. And volleyball for me just happens to be my language.
Yeah, I would definitely say, your channel, your brand has really exploded. Again, I really appreciate having the opportunity to catch some of the drills, catch some of the lessons that you teach there. It's interesting to hear that, you started with like fitness and kind of pivoted towards volleyball that allowed your channel to kind of grow organically that way. One of the things I've seen too, one of the videos I've noticed, over the years is that you love to kind of show off some of your favorite shoes that you enjoy playing in. Can I ask what shoes are you playing in currently?
I'm still playing in the Adidas Dame 8s. I mean, this shoe was released probably 4 or 5 years ago, but I knew that was a special shoe for my foot because I have a wide foot. And I bought probably 5 pairs. And I've tried so many shoes since then. I've tried different, all types of Mizuno's, Asics. Nike released their Hyper Ace 2 Hyperset series. So I tried those for a little bit. But the Dame 8s, they just seem to fit right. And unfortunately, I'm on my second to last pair. So I'm going to run out of Dame 8s pretty soon. But that's the current shoe that I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, I actually bought a pair of Dames because I seen a video that you did a while back. I too have a very wide, flat foot, and I actually had to go back to the Mizunos. I thought it felt a little bit more comfortable, but I definitely felt a little bit more bounce when I was in the Dames. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was very bouncy. So I really appreciate that recommendation. And my wife's cousin who actually uses them now. Uh, he always, he thanks me, and I'm like, yeah, it was Coach Donny's recommendation. Um, he
you're
thanks you for
welcome.
those. So let's talk about more about tall boys. I believe you guys was it 2024 where you won USAV Nationals. Yeah, can you tell me more about your experience with tall guys, how you created it, and how you guys ended up winning nationals?
Yes. We're actually called the tall ones,
Tall wins. I'm sorry.
and we yeah, no worries. It's a team name that was created out of irony. So in the 2014, 2015 time period, I started getting back more into volleyball. I took a break kind of in my late 20s because I was so into coaching, and I felt like when I wasn't competing for something, there was no point for me to play. But then they started a s- a semi-professional league team in the Northern California called NorCal Premier. This was before VLA, so kind of gave me some extra motivation. So when I started getting back into playing, I generally from people, if they wanted to recruit me, they would generally recruit me as libero because I'm only 5'10". And I don't blame them. I'm not the most dominant hitter. I'm not a fantastic blocker. Blocking is definitely my weakest skill. I think attacking wise, I'm still pretty efficient. But when you look at me, you're not really thinking, "Ooh, I can't wait to recruit this guy to hit for my team." And it was frustrating because I knew I had something to show, but I never really got a lot of opportunities. And that's when I realized that if I wanted to become an outside hitter, or I was always an outside hitter in college, but if I wanted to continue being outside hitter and develop the skills that I wanted, I had to create my own opportunities. So I had to create my own team. There's a really strong adult men's summer league called IVL Men's Open here in the Bay Area. It's a lot of current and former college and some former pro players, and it's 9 teams. And so I was lucky enough to be on a waiting list to be eventually create my own team. um, and so when I recruited a couple other people, the other people I recruited also had the same experience of every other team wanted to recruit them to play libero, but one of them wanted to set, another one wanted to play middle, another one wanted to play outside. And these guys were 5'9", 5'9", 6 feet, really all undersized people. But we all had the same mindset that we're undersized. No one's going to give us a shot. So let's play together and make the team that we want. And so because we're all undersized, the only team name I came up with was kind of like a FU to the volleyball world. I mean, that's kind of extreme, but it's kind of like a an ironic name to call us the tall ones, because when they would see our team name on paper and then they see us, are obviously the shortest team in the gym. So that's where that team name came from in 2015, 2016. And then I brought that team to USA Nationals in 2017, because prior to that, I was playing with a couple of the other teams and from 2014 and on. And 2017 was when I decided to bring my own team, the tall ones. And we played in the A division and we did pretty well. We really beat some teams that were twice our size. There's an old photo that my friend took of me in a captain's meeting, and I'm below the person's shoulder trying to do a coin toss with them. It was just one of the funniest moments. And that team was Supple Leopards. And you could tell that when they would see us in hitting lines, because our hitting lines wasn't very impressive, you could tell those teams just didn't take us that seriously. And then we end up beating them. Multiple teams that didn't take us seriously because we weren't that big. And that was just one of the most gratifying experiences when a team underestimates you and then you outperform their expectations. And so that kind of also became the personality of our team, is a very unassuming team and also a true underdog type of fighting spirit that our team always exemplifies. One thing I appreciate about historically about our team is we generally have very good defense. We're scrappy and we just don't give up. And a team that never gives up is a team that's hard to beat. And so that team we've kind of built each year. 2019 is when we played double A. I think we finished like 13th that year. And then in 2000, yeah, and after the pandemic, we went from double A to open. And 2020 they ended up combining all divisions, so A, double A, and open. But I would say second half of day 2 and the day 3 for sure was double A slash open level. And yeah, and it was, I never expected to win the entire tournament. I think I always fantasized about it. Every time you walk by the future court, I'd be sitting in the stands, just totally starstruck at being on the feature court, but something inside of me always always wanted to be on that court in a big moment. And so to have that moment last year in 2024 was really special. It was definitely one of the most memorable experiences. And then also to have so many fans on the sideline, people cheering you on, which was just strange. Like I'm used to playing against teams that other people are cheering for because I'm so used to being the underdog. I'm so used to being overlooked, but then to go there and have people cheering your name on the court and celebrating you was also a very new experience. So yeah, that's just a history of our tall ones.
Yeah, I actually, remember that tournament I was there, and I was very impressed with, how you guys were really able to overcome that, that size disadvantage. One thing I noticed with you guys were you played very well fundamentally. You played well as a team. You guys, really fought, and let everyone know that, hey, we might be undersized, but we're going to play. We're going to do what we need to do to play our hardest, and we're not just going to roll over for you. And it was really very, very impressive, and congratulations on that championship.
Thanks. And having Jalen Phillips, having the CSUN guys definitely helps too.
Let's kind of circle to, how have you noticed, besides, I know you talked about strength training being added to different clubs into the game. Well, what other areas has the game of volleyball evolved from when you first started playing until now?
I think there's more continuity between men's and women's. And I've always believed that growing up in the coaching business. When I first started, people thought this is men's volleyball, this is how you teach, men's, and this is women's volleyball. It's a power game, it's a control game. And for me, maybe because I grew up with an older sister that was athletic and strong and confident, I didn't see too much of a difference in terms of how we approach the game. Like whenever we played sports, our whole family was very active. We'd play baseball, we'd be playing basketball in the backyard, like or martial arts. We did a lot of things together. And I remember always seeing my older sister give the same effort, give the same intensity, and have the same aggression as me. And so I think when I started coaching, it was just it always irked me a little bit when people would say women can't do that or men can't do that. Men just like to hit, they don't like to pass. I mean, there's definitely some truth to that because when a coach says, all right, guys, do whatever you want for practice, the boys are generally going to do hitting lines. And then what's funny is the girls are generally going to do some ball control drill, like, queen in the court. But now with social media and VNL having, doing such a good job of showing the international game in the US, we've been in this bubble, and internationally, men's and women's volleyball are becoming very, very similar. There was a time where back row attack, I remember talking to a Division One coach one year, asking them, why don't you got 6'5" female hitters that have great athletic ability, why don't they jump from the back, why don't they hit from the back row? And he told me that women's bodies can't handle that. And he wasn't saying it in a way like being chauvinistic. He was coming from a data perspective where when we track the data of broad jumping, that tends to lead to injuries and we need to stay healthy. But to me, I was remembering, I could have sworn I've seen China and Serbia do back row attacks, and Brazil did it all the time for the women's teams. So maybe we just have to train it better. And I've always trained my teams that way. In 2009, we had a team where this is my girls' high school team at Mission San Jose High School. We finished 35-4 for the season, made school history. We did really well. We won 2 tournaments, and we're in a Division One high school for public schools at the time. And our middle was 5'9", and our outside was like 5'6". But we ran back row attacks in system. Our offense was generally a little bit faster because that was how we had to survive as a smaller team. We played perimeter defense, and I taught them how to read versus rotation defense, which doesn't really require much reading. But to me, I try to teach them And I at that time I also coached the boys team, and I coached them the exact same way. I would say maybe there's like 10% differences, due to some of the gender differences in terms of the physicality and the personalities. But I think there's a lot more similarities between men's and women's than there are differences. And so it's really good to see that happening at the collegiate level now, at the high school level now. And it's always happened at the professional level. We just, like I said before, we're just in this American bubble where people don't watch international volleyball. So that's where I've seen it evolve. Another aspect is people are way more open to the importance of strength and conditioning. It's not just for looks. People realize how much more durable your body becomes. You're much less injury prone. You jump higher, you hit harder, you move faster. I mean, there's only upsides. And before people, it maybe one person out of three teams would have a trainer. And now I'm seeing at least half the kids I work with have a trainer, or the clubs provide a trainer to have some type of physical conditioning. And especially since now we're seeing a lot of overuse injuries, because kids are playing club volleyball so young and only volleyball and not other sports, they develop injuries from just playing volleyball. And so the only way they get to develop other qualities like lateral speed, rotational speed, change of direction, things that we don't get a lot in volleyball that you could train in flag football and soccer, track and field, that people are now using strength and conditioning to develop those other qualities. So that's the second aspect I've seen evolve. And the third aspect is that kids are now learning faster than coaches, which is a total paradigm shift. Kids are now seeing the highest level of volleyball on their phones every day. Now, coaches are also seeing that too, but kids are on social media way more. And the conversations I have for coaches most of the time when I do coaches clinics and consult with other clubs is that a lot of coaches are still teaching things that they were taught 10 years ago in high school. Whereas kids are coming to practice wanting to try throwing off the block or jamming into the block or scooping on defense or, a one hand dig or a reverse flipper, things that they see on social media that looks fun and seems to work. So that's a really interesting aspect when kids are becoming more curious about the game, but are learning at a faster rate than what the coaches are teaching. So those are the three aspects I'm seeing how the game's changed.
You mentioned, the different ways, and at the pace that the kids are learning right now. What's one thing you wish that, you know, the youth today get the opportunity to kind of learn for tomorrow?
I wish that kids would just give a chance to experiment. There's definitely a discipline way you want to learn. Like Japan is a great example where you have extreme technical discipline, but you also have the creativity. So finding that balance between allowing the athlete to discover what they can truly do and what their limits are, but also having a foundational mechanical way to do things most effectively. Because there are better ways and there are worse ways to pass. I think there's multiple good ways to pass, but sometimes coaches get stuck in a specific way. And at the end of the day, we have to remember that we're teaching techniques because we want a better result. And so instead of working from technique to result, I think we should go from what's working and then figure out how to teach that to our kids. And techniques are changing all the time. I would say every 2 to 3 years, something discovers a new way or a better way to do something at the highest level, like Ingapet from France, Ishikawa from Japan. Brazil was an innovator for a long time, but I would say Argentina with how they set their middles. So once someone, whether it's an athlete, an international coach, or international team, discovers how to do something new and consistently, then we got to figure out, one, is it repeatable? Do you have the athletes to execute it? And then how do we teach it? And I think there's a lot more stuff happening at the international level that we can teach to our kids. And I think sometimes coaches use the level of volleyball as an excuse not to teach a lower level of volleyball. but I think the mechanics are very similar. They just happen to look different when you're 6'5" and jumping 40 inches. But yeah, we had a great, I did a coach's clinic for a club last month, and someone asked a great question of, actually, no, I was attending a coach's clinic myself, hosted by John Sproul, the CEO of USA Volleyball at Boys Junior Nationals. And he was showing us what's trending at the international level. Um, this is what France is doing, this is what Italy is doing, and so on. And we try to see what can we learn from that and how do we evolve with the game. And some of the coaches ask an honest question, like, how does this apply to my middle school team? And John was able to answer that pretty well in the sense where, I don't recommend teaching kids how to like throw and tool off the block. They should probably learn how to spike first. But even how we teach spiking is different now. And when he was taught spiking, he was taught elbow high. But now we're learning that all the best hitters are elbow relaxed and almost low to have more of a loopy swing. So that's something that is evolving at the international level that we should start teaching our kids, because mechanically that's way better for your shoulder. You could generate more power and more speed with a relaxed shoulder and elbow low and back versus elbow high, which is what I was taught in high school. And from that position, from here, you can actually have more speed to jam the block. You can have more speed to tool the block. It opens a gateway to more advanced skills. So I don't think things are necessarily mutually exclusive. I think there's a lot of great things we can learn from what international players are doing. Like, athletes are taught not to break their platform. There's a lot of situations where they need to break their platform. So instead of teaching only lock your arms out or only break your platform, we should teach the kids both and tell them this is the situations you can use it in and play with it, experiment. And so encouraging it more from that versus this is how you have to pass.
As far as training for these athletes up and coming, what's one thing or one area you feel that athletes should really focus on as far as their, strength training, conditioning training, health prevention? What's one area you think athletes really need to focus on when they're coming up, or what they're actually abandoning that they should be focusing on?
Yeah. Depends on what stage of development they are. Because if they are in their 10s and 12s, 13s, 14s, or 15, 16, 17, 18, or adult, the reality is that we're always doing weight training of some type of capacity, like resistance. When you're carrying a backpack, and in school nowadays, at least when I was a teacher, kids are carrying like 3 or 4 books. I just feel like there's like more textbooks than there were before in terms of carrying them. You're doing a farmer's carry with 12 pounds on your back, you know? And so if I'm working with a young kid, the type of weight training I would have them do is doing a lot of motions that are not on the volleyball court with weight, like 2-pound dumbbells. So a lot of the younger athletes need to learn what their body is doing in space without having to look at their body. Because the ultimate skill you want to develop is tracking the ball, but having good peripheral vision and good kinesthetic awareness of what is my foot doing, how am I landing without having to look at it. And that's really how you can tell the difference between someone's athletic development if someone has to look at what they're doing versus someone being able to do something else while trusting their body to do what it needs to do. So there's a lot of cool exercises that you can do for young people. A simple one is you have them get into like a crawling position on the floor on all fours, with their hands and feet. And then you have the trainer use a broomstick and you do a game called don't let the stick touch you. So you just kind of slowly maneuver the stick, and then they have to contort their body and like bend in certain ways that they usually wouldn't to avoid the stick. So it's tricking your body into doing a fun exercise. But just through that, you develop a lot of great mobility, coordination, strength in that bear crawl position. So I would start with that. The body weight is the most important resistance training. I recommend getting as much out of your body weight development as possible. Pull-ups, push-ups, one-legged squats. You can get so much out of just feeling what your body's max potential is to carry its own weight. And then after that, I would develop the fundamental planes of movement, squat, hinge, rotation, lunge, push, pull. Those are generally like all the primary movements we do in everyday life that could apply to the volleyball court. And then the third phase is sports specific. That's a tricky word because everything sports specific. I mean, a bench press, even if you're not benching on the court, but developing all the muscles in those areas, your anterior deltoid, your pec, tension in your rhomboids and your lats, like you're still going to use all those muscles on volleyball. But now trying to mimic court movement with with more weight. So you're overcoming some type of additional force or you're unloading force. So those are the three phases I would progress someone, regardless of age. I would say, I think I mentioned younger people, like kids in the beginning, just because they don't have a lot of exposure. Adults generally have touched some type of weight, so we don't have to go through all stages necessarily. But maximizing body weight movement and awareness and coordination, then adding weight like resistance training, mainly focus on strength. I believe strength training is still the foundation for a healthy body, for both improving performance, but also reducing injury. And then going into more speed, acceleration, power, which is just another word for moving a heavy object faster, like a power clean or something, or a jump squat with dumbbells. That would be the third phase I would progress somebody with.
Okay. So, kids, just remember, continuously strength train, continuously work um, on those areas to help, with movements and help with things that you might not necessarily think of, but that can contribute to injuries. So just continuously work on those things and continuously build. One thing I want to pivot to, I want to talk about your VLA experience. Can you tell us how you got into VLA, what your experience has been like in VLA and the future of tall ones in VLA?
VLA, I think, started in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, with Vince and Lloyd Ball. And I don't know if there's another founder, but those are the only two I know of. It was the second big announcement actually, I would say third big announcement for the closest thing we have to a semi-professional men's volleyball league in America. Originally, there was PVL, Professional Volleyball League, that was started by USA. That was a failed project, unfortunately. And then there was NVA, and I think Vince and Lloyd Ball broke off from NVA to start VLA. So when that started, I just was excited for another opportunity to play at a high level. And I reached out to Vince to see if we could put a team in. He was gracious enough to accept us. And once again, our team didn't have a lot of college level pedigree. We only had two guys that played Division One. The rest of us played college club or just were really, really serious adult league volleyball players that wanted to play at another level. And so it was cool to get that opportunity to play against other teams that you look at the roster, it's almost all Division One, Division Two alumni. And to be able to hang with those teams, and eventually now we're at a point where we're able to beat a lot of those teams. In the VLA Western Cup, I think we lost in the quarters. Yeah, and then there was another VLA tournament in Northern California where we won that local one. But so that's where it started in 2020. And we've attended about 2 VLA events every year. And at that time, it was a little bit smaller. I think only 20 teams in the beginning, and then it grew to so many teams. I don't know how many teams they're at now. All I know is that the requirements to achieve tier 2 status and tier 1 status continue to increase because there's more demand and more teams are joining. So we're officially tier 2 now, which means we have to commit to 4 tournaments. But we've accumulated enough points in the past couple of VLA and won enough games to qualify for tier 2. And it's been an awesome experience. The guys that run it have 2 really rare qualities that don't go hand in hand all the time. One, a really good vision for volleyball and where they want to take men's volleyball at a professional level. And then 2, a good business plan. Unfortunately, most people who are good at volleyball don't really have good business acumen. And the people that have really good business acumen don't understand what volleyball players need. So Vince definitely has a good grasp on both. And he probably, my guess is in a couple years, there's a chance where that you can actually make money playing for the VLA if you're a tier one team. And so that's exciting that this is truly the closest we've been to a sustainable professional men's league. There's been other attempts like the NVA and the PVL, but they've only lasted a couple years. And unfortunately, those models were throw money, have good quality protection, and just hope it works out. And then that's why they fizzle out. But the VLA has people truly invested in wanting to build it, wanting to return. They like the experience, and there's good leadership at the top. And I've seen he's talked to me about his business model of where he wants to take it. And I think is a very sustainable way to grow professional men's volleyball. So it's been a great experience. I mean, it's the highest level that we can play in the USA right now if you're not playing Division One college volleyball.
Yeah, it's definitely high level, and I'm very appreciative of the opportunity provided to be able to compete and put teams in at the professional level. This past season was, the first year we put a team in, and we were able to win the promotional cup up in Ohio. So we were very excited about that and be able to move up to tier two. I mean, we definitely look forward to building towards tier one. We made a
Nice.
few enemies along the way. We have a little bit of we have some rivals out there. Let me ask, do you guys have any rivalries that any games you look forward to, any teams you look forward to playing each season?
Not yet. I don't think we are good enough for the top teams to feel like we're a threat. And that's just me being super honest. Like we're kind of a mid-pack team. So I think that's an improvement. When we first started VLA, we were bottom third. We never finished last, but we finished pretty close to last a couple times. And now we're consistently, mid pack at the VLA tournaments that we compete in. And so yeah, I just don't think we're on enough people's radar. And the funny thing is I meet a lot of fans from other teams that I think are just happy to play us because they either grew up watching us or they're happy to play against me. And so when they beat us, they're like, "Hey, good game, man. Been watching you forever." I'm like, that's the most interesting congratulations for a loss I've heard. But we do have a local rival, Bay Area Dimes. That's another VLA team. Historically, they've been tier two, but this year they've opted to not play in the VLA. They weren't able to get a squad consistently to commit to four teams, unfortunately, because there are other local VLA team and we play against each other all the time. We just lost against them last night in the IVL Men's Open, but we beat them in the finals of their VLA tournament that they hosted in March. We beat them at the USA Open. So there's just a lot of back and forth. And it's more of a friendly rivalry because a lot of us have known each other for a long time and we play against each other almost every week. So I guess that's the closest thing we have to a rival is Bay Area Dimes.
Yeah, Bay Area Dimes is a great team. I want to say they won USAV Opens in 23, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean they have a great club out there, great program.
Hmm.
Hopefully, we get a chance to, play against you guys. I know we were thinking about coming out to the West Cup qualifier because we're very, very interested in trying to build up to tier one. I think now we need to win, was it 4 or 5 cups now? So we got to start collecting cups. So we're looking at the West Coast. So if we can qualify and make it to the cup, hopefully we see you guys out there.
Yeah. Come out to Phoenix. It's a little bit closer. That's the closest the VLA Western Cup is going to get to Ohio. Usually it's in Southern California.
Yeah, I definitely love to go to Phoenix. My only downside is I hate the heat,
Yeah.
and Phoenix is a very, very hot place.
Yeah. Are you a player for your team?
No, no, I don't play. No, I just manage the team.
Awesome.
For me, I'm not as vertically gifted as some people. I'm only 5'9", but maybe I can make it onto the tall ones.
Well, yeah. Your height would be perfect for us.
So Coach Donny, again, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. If you want to give a plug, a shout out to a couple of your socials, your websites, please feel free to do so.
Sure. If you want to follow me, you can find me on TikTok, Elevate Yourself Official, Instagram, Elevate Yourself Official, Facebook. Is it Elevate Yourself? I think it's Coach Donny Elevate Yourself. One of those. The Elevate Yourself Official was taken for some reason. I don't know who else would even have have that whole name. And then on YouTube, it's Elevate Yourself. Is it official? I think that one is Elevate Yourself Official as well. And then Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. So you can find me there. And then my website has information for all my camps, travel clinics. So if you want me to come out to your area, or if you're in the Bay Area, I also have a lot of online training programs. If you want to increase your vertical jump, you can find that at elevateyourself.
All right, Coach Donnie. Well, thank you so much again. Again, if you're looking to elevate your game, definitely feel free to check out Coach Donnie and Elevate Yourself, as they'll help you get there. So, Coach Donnie, again, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck, and hopefully you continuously grow, keep growing, and keep inspiring other players to want to grow their game.
Awesome. Thank you, Malcolm. It's really nice meeting you. Hopefully, we'll see you at the Western Cup.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right. Take care.
All right. All right. Thanks. You too. Bye bye. So, great interview with Coach Donnie. I really appreciate him coming on. And, as we mentioned, we do plan on going out to a couple of cups, maybe on the East Coast or West Coast. We love to see them and love to play the tall ones. One thing I do want to, mention and give a flag about on our end. We have tryouts coming September 7th in the Chicagoland area. Feel free to reach out to me at volume@gmail.com. We can get you signed up, include your name, your position, where you played, your height, and we'll get you taken care of and get you squared away to register for tryouts. So, on a more serious note, we it was announced, and we have the plans coming for the North Cup. Let's see exactly what it is. It's like the North Cup Power League for the VLA. I'm excited. I think we're gonna get about 3 matches a day starting October 11th, going through November 4th. So 4 weekends of action-packed volleyball hosted by Southside Extreme. I like Southside Extreme. I like Will, but just a reminder, we did sweep you guys clean 3-0. So we're very excited. I know we talked to Ike a couple weeks ago. He's excited about the opportunity to play Southside XP and go out there and hopefully beat him again. And we're going to look forward to it because, I like Will, I like Southside, but being the both clubs being extremely competitive, we're both going to look for that opportunity to beat each other and knock each other off. So I'm very excited. We're both in tier 2, and right now it's going to be the race to see who's going to get that tier 1 promotion first. And I'm happy to say, confident it's going to be us. You know, Pretty soon they're going to be the little brothers. Right now they were able to big brother us last year in tier 2, being the more established team. Us just being our first year, us being tier 3, but we were able to go punch them right square in the mouth. And we're looking to do that again. Southside XP, make sure you guys follow up if you are interested to watch some good high quality volleyball. Again, it's going to be October 11th, October 18th, October 25th, and November 1st. Hosted at the Patriot Center, where Southside XP does their training. And if you are looking for good quality training, make sure you reach out to Southside XP and allow them to get the training. But they're still not going to help when you go against volume. So just remember that, because we're coming to again knock you in the mouth. We'll keep doing that every time we play you guys. Another thing I want to do is give a shout out to our wonderful sponsor, Pure 5 HR. If you are looking for some opportunities for whether it's staffing, human resource servicing, RPO management, feel free to reach out to pure5hr.com. Pure talent, pure people, pure results, Pure 5. Again, another great episode. We have some exciting announcements coming up. Talking about the big news, but it is some very big news coming. And we at the Volume Group are extremely excited in the direction that we're going. Again, we have the new teams coming, another one for men's, another one for women's. The new women's team is going to be called, what do we decide on again for the women? Velocity. Oh, I remember that velocity. For the men's side of things, I'm going to announce the team name pretty soon, but again, we want to. It's going to be a different one. You know, a couple of people are privy to the name right now. We're looking at announcing it soon once we get, a couple of the brand modifications, the logo colors, everything worked out, and we're also excited about the new uniforms that the teams are going to wear this year. I think we had the best uniforms last season, and we're going to do the same thing again this year. So we're very excited for that. But all in all, another great episode of the Play Loud podcast presented by Volume. And just remember, everyone out there, enjoy the game, love the game, and don't forget to play loud. I'm out.